Watch Dr. Drew's new show at 9 on HLN. Weeknights on HLN.
Listening to the couple for the first time after the trial, do you think they know, or didn't they know, that something fishy was going on?
Well, of course, Dr. Drew. I'm not a parent of a suspect for murder, and I don't know how I would act under those circumstances. Thank God I'm not. But clearly they knew there was a dead body in that car. There was no doubt. Obviously, once it became clear that the daughter was facing a death penalty, either consciously or subconsciously, something happened to their psychology.
Yeah, they seemed to suddenly, and remember, there was a perjury claim against Cindy, so her veracity is somewhat in question. But Mark, let me just get this straight. You're not the parent of a murderer suspect? That's true?
Not yet, Drew. But we spent a lot of time with our kids trying to prevent that. Yeah.
Okay. In the interview with Dr. Phil, the Anthonys claim that Casey may have had a seizure while Kaylee was swimming and then drowned, so perhaps she couldn't have saved her daughter. They also say that the seizure disorder prevented her from sorting fact from fiction and is the reason she perpetually lied. Now, they were asked that the day the 911 calls were made, she's being cuffed in the driveway. When she's in the home, she knows that Kaylee is gone, and Cindy replies to this with simply, yep. Then Dr. Phil continues, and he says, and she continued to lie. And George responds, she continued to lie. Mark, this theory that she had some sort of organic brain syndrome, I want you to know that I have had many of my colleague experts email me and send me documentation of similar cases of people with generalized seizure disorders, with various sorts of frontal lobe and temporal lobe dysfunctions, and even those with fictitious seizure disorders, that have this sort of chronic lying where they seem to not be able to tell fact from fiction. Even though that's a possibility or a possible explanation here, my first question to you is, isn't this just another excuse for Casey?
I would say yes. I also would say, really, who cares at this point? I mean, I really feel that way. In other words, they're free to offer what they want. I don't wish them ill will at all. I met Cindy on the street. She seemed like a nice gal who obviously didn't ask for all this to happen. But at this point, the best reason why she would lie is because she somehow, whether it be an accident or intentionally, had something to do with her daughter's tragic death. So to suggest that there's some abnormality, to me, means nothing. But ultimately, she had something to do with it. However you want to look at these facts, that's the reason for her lies.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. And my question is sort of twofold. If indeed there was a neuropsychobiological problem that was bona fide, why didn't the defense dig into that a little bit? Or why didn't we have some... Remember the psychiatrist that saw her said there was no evidence of any of this stuff? Maybe a little... we heard a little bit of a sort of a narcissistic personality disorder, but nothing else from the psychiatrist who evaluated her. That's number one. And then number two, if the Caseys knew she was this impaired, why did they let her take care of a kid?
Okay, so the first problem is that the truth didn't really play a role in the defense all that much. The goal, I know it makes you sick to hear about it, was to acquit their client.
Mark, I just remember the feeling from covering this case and talking to you. Here it is again. Yeah. Nausea.
I got
it's
you.
Awesome.
I got you. All right. But again, the defense's job was to somehow come up with a scenario, either based on the truth or very loosely based on the truth or possibly manufactured, to walk their client out the door. That was their job. To suggest to the jury that the lies were becoming some of abnormality, I don't know if that's going to pass the smell test with anybody. So why put it up there? It was much easier for them to point the finger at Dad and make all these outrageous claims.
Right, and then finally tell me why we don't hold the Anthonys more accountable for what happened if they were aware their daughter had a brain disorder.
Well, the prosecutors used their discretion in not charging her with perjury, even though she clearly did on the stand regarding the computer searches. To know something isn't a crime. To say something that's different than the truth under oath is perjury. And again, they made their position clear that's not something they want to go forward on.